Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Guiding You Home, where we build the confidence to go within. I have a new friend. Sarah Grady is here with me, and she said unconditional love, and I was like, girl, you and I have some things to talk about. So I'm so excited that you're here today, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. It's funny that unconditional love is what brought you to me. Like, that's what you heard of me, because that is something that has really just guided me since I was in my childhood. But it was also the one thing I judged for like half of my adult life. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, and I love that because you hopped on here and I was asking you about the certifications in the background, and you led in with they were your intro into doing what you do now professionally,
Yeah.
but then you're like, wait, actually. Tell us a little bit about that. And then I also, if you want to include a history of where you've been, how you got here, I have a feeling it has to do with those certifications.
They do. They do. So I'm Sarah Grady, first and foremost. But those certifications, they're for happiness and confidence. And I was led to them about 5 years ago. When COVID was full in the trenches, I was also in the trenches of my own life. So
Mm.
it was really funny because the day that COVID like was official, like they shut everything down, was the
Yeah.
weekend of my birthday.
Oh.
So I had plans to go and choose myself, and like we're gonna go and live life my way, because for a long time I guess the labels I would use is codependent people pleaser. I had lived my life for my
Yep.
children and
Yeah.
for my husband and the people
Mm-hmm.
that I loved so dearly. And I kind of like blew my entire life up over the course of that month as soon as COVID hit. I went through, we'll call it the almost divorce. It's a part of my story. And I guess you could attribute it to I used fire to cleanse the entirety of my life, to rebuild the foundations.
Wow.
And those courses, like those certifications, were a part of that. I knew that I was inspired to lead others, to not work for somebody else, because
Mm.
every job I had been in just didn't feel unconditionally loving. Like it didn't feel like I could be myself. I had to continue fitting into a box that just was stifling. So I was like, of course, coaching. Like I'll go coach people. But really, I needed to coach myself. And
Mm.
those were my first step in a long 5 years of pretty much coaching myself to back to who I was when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that. And I also love that you are intimating that you burned everything down with fire
Yeah.
and rebuilt it with happiness and confidence. Like, or
Mhm.
maybe happiness and confidence were the fire in which
Yeah,
you burned everything down.
I
That I've
did.
never thought of confidence and happiness as the fire that can level everything that no longer serves you.
Thank you for that, like for receiving it in that way, because yes, that's exactly what I did. Because my husband will even tell you the conversation we had when I said, like, look, I've got to walk away from this. It was the kindest conversation somebody could ever have. It was me taking full accountability of I'm the one that got us here too. Like, I'm not saying it was you. I'm saying that we were two people that got together based off of a trauma bond. I filled something in you, and you filled something in me. And I just don't want that anymore. And I didn't know how to rebuild without walking away. I was what you would call a runner. So when it got
Mm,
too intense, I would run. But
mm.
COVID was this, it was this catalyst of I couldn't run. Like there was nowhere to run to. I had to stay
Yeah.
here and in my home. And he showed me that I can give people the ability to show me differently. It's
Mm.
not an all or nothing sort of situation. Nothing in life is. But the way I viewed it was, I'm freaking done. I want to feel better. You deserve to feel better. So let's blow this all up and be better. And now the foundation that we have, thankfully, that I didn't run is this basis of he's a whole soul, I'm a whole soul, and we enhance each other's lives instead of be each other's lives.
Woo!
Oh, it's so good.
Sarah, you're my kind of girl. Oh my gosh, that is so good. So, what comes to my mind, being a runner, that's fight or flight. That's your
Yep.
nervous system saying, I can't stay here. It's not safe.
Yep.
But you've learned to be a safe space for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's magical. Everything
Yeah.
changes after that. How are you different now from being the runner, being forced not to run? Because that can feel a little bit like death for a minute when you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I got to run. And then there's no place for that energy to go. What did you do to get to a place where you were at peace?
So it was really just always choosing what felt good to me. I guess that's as simply as I can put it. Is as soon as I started choosing that I wanted to feel differently, that I needed to start writing my life instead of a life everyone else told me I wanted, I realized that I needed to be my own safety. And so it was really just trusting that whatever choices I was making, that I knew that I could handle it. I mean, I had
Mm,
survived 100% of the days prior. I could survive anything life threw at me. So it was following the breadcrumbs, following what felt good, and allowing myself for the first time to really, truly, deeply allow emotions to guide. And once I started embodying my fullest self, seeing my shadows, seeing that full accountability of I created chaos, but I created a false peace in that
mm,
chaos.
mm.
Once I built that trust, now with where I'm at, it doesn't matter what's happening around me. Like my entire house could be burning and it doesn't matter because I know that it's happening for us. And
Yeah.
that trust in life has been so freeing for me because I always know that I'm right where I'm meant to be. And if I listen to my intuition, I'm gonna go where I'm supposed to go, like where my own unique force is meant to go. And I'm
Yeah, that is
always
so
divinely on
powerful.
time. Yeah.
So powerful because now you're in charge. Like
Yeah.
we're not supposed to be in control of our lives as much as we're
Right.
supposed to empower our lives. So
Yeah.
then you can move forward freely. I almost feel like you are that person that can turn yourself inside out and just, it's kind of like burnt toast. You get the burnt toast out, and you're like, ooh, and you scrape all the burnt off, and then it's just toast, right? And it's kind of like your life isn't supposed to be clean as if nothing's ever happened,
Yeah.
but you've just turned yourself inside out and looked, where is the part that I want to scrape off that no longer serves me?
Hmm.
And then you're like, put yummy jam on it.
Yeah.
Like you just
Well,
made it delicious.
yes, and it's like this process, which I didn't understand it as I was going through it. Like that's why
Mm,
like this unconditional love to me is it's a living transmission of my life. So that's why those courses are so important to me. And it's a
Mm,
reminder that I don't always know where I'm going, and that's okay, because those were a part of the process. Because with where I'm at
yes.
now, it's it's realizing that the gift I've always carried is that we don't transform by pushing, by judging, by shaming, by guilting. We
Right.
change, and I changed by unconditionally loving every piece of myself, even the darkest parts of my shadow, because they didn't need judged, they didn't need shamed, they didn't need tossed the fuck out. They needed held and
Yeah.
embraced and said, I
Yeah.
see you, and it's okay, and it served us, but we can
Yeah.
release now and do the next thing. We learn the lesson, we can move forward.
Mm, I love that. And so it's kind of like you're saying. In fact, I don't know why the toast thing is sitting here for a second,
I
but
love it. It's great. I love toast.
being mad that your toast burnt isn't going to get you anywhere.
Exactly.
Like, throw it out and put a new piece in. Like, let's not dwell on it. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what, sometimes we want to scrape it off and pretend like it never even happened. It's not as good as
Exactly.
starting over. And
Yeah. But when you pretend it's not there, it's still there, because that's not
it's still there.
releasing. That's
Nope.
suppressing.
That's suppressing and denial, and
Yeah.
it doesn't make it true, right? It's like
Right.
it never even happened. That's not necessarily true. And I am a big believer. So in the Hebraic language, truth
Mhm.
means nothing missing.
Yeah.
And truth, love, and light are one and the same. They're synonyms. So
Hmm.
love, there's nothing missing with love. And so
Yeah.
I want to even drive this point home further for those who are listening, because you are describing the process of unconditional love through and through happiness,
Hmm.
confidence, all the things that are already in you to be. But
Yeah.
you are describing becoming that. And that is the point of life, is who we become on the journey.
Yeah.
It's who we become in a moment. You're looking at your burnt toast. Who are you going to become to deal with the burnt toast? You're going to be the one that throws in the sink and says, never mind, I didn't want toast anyway. Or you can be the ones like, it's fine. Thank you. Next.
Yeah.
Like, who are you being in a moment?
And that's exactly it. And it's funny because with the environment in which I allowed myself to feel safe in for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
was based off my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people used to tell me I was this bright light when I was born. Like I was just sunshine in human form. And when I had my youngest, I understood what they meant,
Mm.
because she was my ability to reparent myself through learning how to better parent her.
Wow.
And that's been the biggest part of my journey, is seeing how my love, the idea of what I had for love, which was all based on conditions, was hurting my kids. But
Mm.
I had chosen this role of, I'm going to be the best dang mom you ever did see. Like that was my idea of what my life was supposed to be. My purpose was to be these kids' mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I woke up and realized that I was hurting them. I was not giving them the tools that they truly needed. And by embodying that and trying to be the best mom for them, my life, these courses, everything that I did led me back to, in order to be the best for them, I need to be the best for me.
Thank you for saying that. Let's normalize that. Like, if you don't
Yes.
put your oxygen mask on first, you really
Yeah.
can't help anybody else. It's a very limited run on what you can do to serve.
Yeah. 100%. And the thing is, even in that space, I was still feeling like what I was doing wasn't aligned right,
Mm,
because there was still those judgments.
mm,
And that's what that unconditional love really gave me, of if I'm gonna love without conditions,
mhm.
that means I need to accept all of me. I
Yeah,
need to accept that I'm not perfect, because I'm not supposed to be. I am a soul
right.
having a
Thank you.
wild human experience.
Yes, thank you.
And if I can embody that in me, then that means I can embody that with my children and trust that they know where to go. They don't need me to tell them how to live life. They need me to give them the tools or give them opportunities for them to find their own tools and to not throw my own vision of what I expect life to look like for them to cloud them being able to build their own vision because
Mm,
they know better for their own life than I do.
that is, wow. So thank heavens you are coming to all of this wisdom early in your parenting. Yeah, I didn't figure it out till like 3 years ago.
Sort of. So I actually have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, and then I have the littles, which are the
Mm,
two that I had with my now husband. And like they're the ones that helped me grow. They're the ones that
yeah.
made me realize that what I was doing was not serving. So now the younger
Hmm.
ones do get a different version of me. And then I get
Yeah.
to walk with my older kids and trust that they can see me changing my life and then they can do the same for themselves because I can see the shadows showing up in them that I handed to them.
Yeah. And I've always said it's never too late to be a mentor.
Yes.
We're mentors to our kids longer than we're mothers. Like we're
Yeah.
mothers for 18 years and then you've taught them all you can teach them and then they have to go make choices for themselves and they have to, choose the life they want to live with all the shadows and all the hard stuff that we didn't know how to teach them differently, that they
Yeah.
picked up in their childhood. And those are
Yeah.
just perceptions. It's not like they're locked into any kind of way of life forever. They're just perceive
Yeah.
themselves in a certain way because we were also limited in our ability to see ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you have this perspective. First of all, you don't look old enough to have an 18-year-old. Like, how did that happen? Started
Thank
when you're
you.
13? I don't know.
No, I was 18. I'm
No,
actually going to be 37 in just a few weeks.
holy smokes, girl. Yes, you just have that vibrance and youth about you. So it's
Yeah.
hard to believe that you're that far along in your mothering. But I
I
just
appreciate that.
I feel such a sense of, I think it's important to help women understand that they are constantly coming into a knowingness,
Mm-hmm.
remembering who they are.
Yeah.
And whenever that happens is the right timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't even have the language for attachment styles or codependency the way I describe it now until like 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Right. And my kids are well grown and out of the house and having families of their own. So
Yeah.
I think just the way you've described this of handing the power back to your children. I was talking to my sister-in-law not long ago and she said, yes, my oldest and my youngest are recounting memories with their mom and dad. And she's like, I'm sitting there with fly on the wall and watching the youngest look at the oldest and go, who are you talking about? Because the oldest have such a different version of the new
Mm-hmm.
mom that we were like deer in the headlights. We don't know. I'm going to, hand you my values and hold you to them. And that was all we knew how to do. And that was the best that we knew how to do. And just
Yep.
the fact that you're empowering your children now, you're looking at them saying, I'm not here to tell you how to do it. I'm here to give you the tools with which you can choose to do it with.
Yes. The journey is so interesting to me because I
Mm-hmm.
find myself releasing a lot still, like, which is just all a part of the life, right?
Yeah.
But it's like each time we hit this new parenting thing, like whatever new event that occurs in their life, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, how do I want to show up for
Yeah.
this particular thing? Like, how did I show up before? How do I choose to show up now? And just having this, I don't know, unapologetic trust that life is going to happen in its own divine way.
Mm-hmm.
And trusting that if I know that has happened in my own life, which I embody, I trust that I'm always right where I'm meant to be. And you don't know better or you don't do better until you know better. And
Yes.
that's what I did. And if I
Mhm.
can trust in that with myself, in trusting with my kids, that's the one attachment that I hit those shadows and blocks more because I have like no attachments to anything in life for the most
Mm.
part. And I kind of
Mhm.
was born with that. Just life is what it is.
Yeah.
And I embrace it. I learn what I need to. You know, I was sexually assaulted when I was 15 years old.
Mhm.
And at 15, that is how I moved through that process. And I didn't share my story for a long time because people would tell me that how I moved through it was wrong until
Mm.
I got to a point where I was like, how? Like, how is my story wrong?
Yeah, and
Just
how
because
is the
it's
way
not
you talk about
yours.
it or move through it, how could that ever be wrong?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that was a part of that embodying. But my kids, like that love that we feel as a mother is so deeply rooted in our body. And it's so easy to forget that just because they came from us doesn't mean that they're a part of us.
Mhm.
And I constantly am reminding myself, like, I am being a mama bear right now and trying to jump in and rescue and save them because of my fear of loss or my fear of
Yeah.
them experiencing pain. But
Mhm.
my pain was my greatest part of my life and was exactly what I needed every single time it happened. And taking their pain just stops them from getting those lessons until they're older. And if I can get out of the way and let them experience these things that they're stepping into with me as a support, that is what I think makes the difference. Because they
Yeah.
have me there. They have me there to be able to say, it's okay. You know, you
Mhm.
can pivot, or what did you learn from this? Or just embodying that life gets to be feeling. You get to feel pain. You get to feel joy. And you get to feel every part of being a human. And that's our greatest gift.
Yes, yes. And I love that. Guiding you home is all about going within and you're
Yeah.
describing it in all the details of day to day sifting and sorting and learning and living, right? You're
Yes.
just, it's with you and other people that you've been given stewardship over,
Yeah.
not to rule over, but to show them how to tap into their own little spiritual guidance systems, right? Where
Yes.
they can
Yeah.
understand what intuition feels like and how to follow it without the
Yeah.
worries and cares of what everybody else is doing and what everybody else expects and what everybody else, like we listen to everybody else way, way, way too much, you know. When I
Yes,
was
we
being
do.
raised, it was like my way or the highway. That was just the generational patterns that
Theme.
had come down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took me years to be like, wait, what? It doesn't have to be the highway. It doesn't, it can be the way that I choose to live. Like that was a hard lesson for me because I had, well, I don't know if I dismantled it energetically, but it seems like my entire life was leveled to the ground, burned to the ground, like you were talking about. You
Yeah.
know, that my health went away, which meant my business went away, which meant that my income went away, which meant that, you know, and I knew the bottom line was a codependent relationship that I was in, a marriage for
Mm,
26 years, that I was
yeah.
like, you know what? I just think I'm done working on it. I don't think I want to work on it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to go explore who I was, but I still had kids at home. And the disconnect between my ability to realize my importance in their life and trying not to die.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, why am I even here? I don't have a purpose anymore. Like I was trying to figure out how to live and also how to continue on in a life that I started when I was codependent. Does that make sense?
It does. Absolutely. And that's such a hard place to be in because there's all those like, what do I choose? And when you
Mhm.
have that feeling of love, like, of course we want to choose our children always. but
Hmm.
we weren't taught necessarily like the balance between what it means to choose another in our life. And it feels like life gave you exactly what you needed to be able to say, this is what I really needed or wanted.
Yeah, because I actually had never chosen myself. I was a sister, I
Yeah.
was a mother, I was a daughter, I
Yeah.
was something to everybody except I didn't know who I was to God. And I
Yeah.
think that was the deciding factor, is that when I chose myself, it meant I also needed to practice love that I'd never ever experienced or received in my life, not in a
Yeah.
marriage, not in my childhood. Like God's love was the first that I ever really knew. And when I was 9, it was impressed upon me to the point where I would never forget that God loved me and he knew me intimately. He knew everything about me and we'd always known each other. And
Hmm.
that was a moment that carried me through a awful lot of emotional neglect and hardships in my life. I feel like there was like this space where I was so busy taking care of everybody else and giving of my energy that I didn't have because I wasn't
Hmm.
receiving anything yet.
Yeah.
Right? I was kind of, it feels blank. I feel like I had mom dysmorphia. You know how there's body dysmorphia? You're like, I can't
Yeah.
really see what's going on in the mirror, right? I had mom
Yeah.
dysmorphia, that when my kids came into the world, I was like, I don't feel like a mom to them. I just felt like a manager, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It
And
does.
coming into your own after going through an experience where you're just like, moving through a calendar. It was just a schedule that we were keeping, and it wasn't a connection.
Yeah.
Calendar versus connection. Like there was something really powerful there, and being able to
Yeah.
tap into the connection of who you are, you with yourself, meaning little you, your
Hmm.
nervous system, and
Yeah.
your higher self, the one that has the knowingness of your infinite worth,
Yeah.
right? And then just the physical aspect of what we're here to do and the people we're connected with on earth. Like those things didn't really come together for me until all the kids were out of the house.
Right. Right. That's like a big thing. Like usually they call it like that midlife crisis. You know, it's like all of a sudden you hit that moment when you finally can breathe and you're not responsible for someone else anymore. That's when you get
Yeah.
faced with it.
Yeah. And I went to my sister's house once when my oldest was 3. And I took her on the plane with me, and I had 2 at home. I had 3 under 3.
Okay.
And so I took my oldest with me, and my sister made the comment to me. She's 18 years older than I am. And she said, you can't run away from your problems. And I was
Mm,
thinking about that. I was like, oof, that is not what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get clarity. I cannot see my way forward as a mom to these children. And I can tell right off that I am not being the mom that I always envisioned myself to be.
right.
And I feel like there's a lot of women out there who battle with, who even am I? Like,
Yeah.
what am I here to do? Is this all there is for me? Whatever it is that they're doing in their life, they might be like, is this all there is? Is this what it is? Because I felt like I was a dishwasher, a laundry doer, and a nose wiper. Like I couldn't figure out the connection part because it had never been taught to me,
Yeah.
and but the connection has to happen first with you before
Yes.
it can really ever be a sustainable point of expression
Yeah.
with anyone else.
That's why I'm a firm believer that every person has to live their own unique story. And
Yeah.
before, I used to be in this place of it was a part of my codependency and my people pleasing. Like I would jump in and fix it.
Mm, yeah.
And my kids helped me realize that sometimes my help, my love was
Yeah.
actually hurting them because I was
Yeah.
basically telling them that they're wrong.
Mm,
And I was like, you're kind of right. Like I never had seen it that way.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
what worked for me isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. And one person doesn't get the same aha from certain things because maybe that's not a part of their life's story. They
Yeah.
still have to walk this path to get to wherever they're going because they have to choose it themselves.
Yeah.
And I was almost trying to, beat the dead horse. Like, just grow, just feel better, just be able to love. And that's not how it works. Like, you have to be able to love yourself. But my beginning was choosing my kids until my environment made me realize by choosing them, I was choosing me to choose them.
Mm.
And it's so
That's
impactful,
powerful.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and I wouldn't have done that. Because if I would have seen a course that said, here, be a better you, I wouldn't have jumped because I didn't
Mm.
think that I needed anything then. All I wanted was to be a better mom.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted at that time of my journey.
Yeah.
And now I'm in this place where, whatever comes, comes. And we just move through every chaos, and I just embrace and accept humanity in motion.
Yeah. I
And
love
I
that.
love it.
Yeah, the visual that came to mind was it's like putting a seed in the ground, covering it with dirt, watering it, and then yelling at it to hurry up.
Exactly.
It's like, just grow, just be bright, push upward to the light.
And that is exactly what I was doing. And it's so funny because the things that I experienced with my older two, I don't talk a lot about their journeys, but my oldest came out to me when he was 10. Like, and I just knew, like, I knew when he was a baby. Like, I don't know how, I just knew. And I sat with this place of, if that's what it is, it is. Like, we'll figure it out as we go. And sure enough, that's what happened. And then I watched his life story and how others in his life stopped choosing him because of him choosing him. And then that alone is like, why? Why do people do this? Like, that was my first experience of, I don't understand not letting people be who they need to be their happiest. Just because it doesn't align with what you think life should look like.
But historically, as soon as you choose yourself, those that don't like you standing in your personal power to be who you are meant to be all along, they'll fall away. They'll excuse themselves from your life. They'll be like, sorry,
Yeah.
we can't hang with you anymore. They may blame you for their unhappiness, which is codependency, just saying.
Yeah.
But it is that they're not willing to grow. They're not willing to unattach from outcomes and other people's choices,
Right.
because they're hanging on so tightly to their own shadows.
And that's what I realized with me is I didn't want to lose anybody because I felt so deeply in my core that I didn't not like anybody. Like, a part of my greatest gift that actually I was told was me being naive, and I was too kind, which I never thought, like, you don't think
How
that
could
that
that
would
be a
be,
bad thing?
I know, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I was told I was too naive, too trusting, too kind, because you can put me in front of the harshest, scariest looking person, and I can feel the love from them.
Yes. Are we the same unicorn? I feel like that's how I am too. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? How bad could it be? What have I got to lose? Like,
Yeah.
let's just be friends.
Exactly. And all they need is a little bit of love to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I didn't realize, which is why I had to go through the things that I went through, all the pains, all the lessons that I needed, they all were leading me to understand that I can't only see the love, but also I can only see the love. I have to be able to discern, is this person open to receiving? But also choose me in those moments. And that's what this entire journey has led me back to. Of, yes, that is my greatest gift, to be able to see the life force that resides within us all. That is unconditional love. It
Yes,
is
because
in everyone.
yeah. Yeah, they are not the culmination of their perceptions
Yes.
from their childhood when their little brains were underdeveloped and they couldn't understand what was being expected of them. And so they
Exactly.
perceived, I'm not enough, I must be stupid, I don't understand things easily. Like they just put all those, and then
Yeah.
you see these people and they have a story, they have a purpose, they have a life, and
Yes.
they're powerful. It's just that nobody's ever given them the permission slip to go take back their power that was taken from them or
Yep.
perceived was taken from them. Right?
Well, and also trusting that maybe they haven't stepped into that yet
Mm.
because we're all a
Mm-hmm.
part of the greater story
Mm-hmm.
of life.
Yes.
Like, if this person doesn't do this thing, then I don't learn this thing about my life. And I think that's what scared me the most
Mm.
is there's so much judgment over what people do in their life. This person made this mistake and then we're harsh about it.
Yeah.
And I just never understood. Like, okay, so someone we'll go extreme. They're an addict. And there's a lot of pain around that. And I don't say that I don't understand every bit of that. It's a very hard road to walk.
Yeah.
I was raised by an alcoholic.
Mm.
But what I remember most is that he was so loving underneath.
Yeah.
He cared so deeply, and I almost equate him to like a child in adult's body.
Yes.
And because of being able to see my father in that light, being able
Yes.
to see that he wasn't his shadows, he wasn't his addiction. His addiction was what allowed him to feel safe.
Yeah.
And being able to hold that space and realize like they may not choose to come out of that. But if I can choose to love them with where they're at and discern what is right for me, not sabotage myself in order to fix them or to save them or rescue them, because they don't need me to save or rescue them.
Mm-mm.
They need me to respect that they are right where they're at and just show them the unconditional love and support that feels good to me in the moment. And that to me, like, I don't know, that brings that unity. Like, we can
Yeah.
all live in that space and be
Yeah.
a part of life together while we all figure it out and just enjoy the
Yes.
ride.
Yes. Yes. Let's just enjoy the ride. Unconditional love is the absence of judgment.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.